Who's got a question? Vernon Williams the third. She is. Yeah.
Vernon B. Williams the fifth. The B stands for beautiful. Mr. Moeller, this question is for you. Well, I have two because I don't follow the rules. All right, so first one is more of a simple question, just how do you strategically set up your booth display at service events? And then the second one is when you're talking about your 45-minute appointments or 60-minute appointments, do you still give yourself like a 10 to 15-minute gap? So would your 45 minutes appointments be actually 60 minutes appointments and your 60 minutes appointments are actually like 75-minute time slots? Or is it the other way around where it's like a 30-minute appointment with like a total of 45 minutes and then so on and so forth?
Yeah, great question. So first of all, I think the B should stand for bodaciously beautiful.
Thank you.
Just saying.
Thank you.
So display, very simple. It's an L shape. And in front of me, it's just like a booth. So it's all my brochures, an ultimate set, business gift display, steak knives in front of me with all my random weird things I need in front of me, like pens and polishing cloth and leather and stuff. And then flatware shelf with Siggy and Homie on it and a bunch of pocket knives that are engraved with logos. And then gadgets in front of that. And then the L shape is the legacy cookware set and sporting knives and a couple, like a red signature and some other stuff. So that's the display for service events for me. And then I have all the random knives that are not in the ultimate in a roll up on a chair like right next to me so I can pull those out for people that already have an ultimate but don't have those knives. And I can display a fan set. So then your second question, I don't do gaps between appointments when customers are scheduling. So like on my service event scheduling page, they're all back to back. So it's like if I'm doing 60-minute appointments, it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever, right? And then if they're 45-minute appointments, it's like 10 a.m. to 10:45, and then 10:45 to 11:30, and then 11:30 to 12:15. So I don't mind booking myself back to back to back to back to back. And I also don't give myself a lunch break because I just eat lunch as I'm talking with customers. And I just ask them like, hey, do you mind if I eat my lunch while we talk? And they're like, no problem. So and oftentimes the appointment slot takes the full amount of time and I'm literally wrapping up with the customer at the exact same time that someone else is walking through the door. Because I do ask customers to arrive 10 minutes early to be ready, like just to get there early, right, and get checked in. But not many people do. Most people arrive like 2 to 3 minutes earlier, right on time.
James, right over there. If we could, pass him a mic. No, I'm just kidding.
Quick question for all of you. What is 1 to 2 things that you do on the daily when you're working an event to prepare yourself, either physically or mentally, whether it be a miracle morning thing or just in general, that is going to get you at prime state to epically impact that day?
First thing is starting off with gratitude. So like on North Dakota State Fair, I have the privilege of working like 32 booth days with Bert Wicks. So that's great. We're good accountability buddies. But with that, it's like we do an exercise, every morning when we're on our way into the booth where it's like, hey, what are 3 things you're grateful for? And then proceed to rattle off like 10. The more like abundance thrives with gratitude. And when you're focused on gratitude, you're not focusing on, like the what ifs, like or the what haves, or the what do I not have, or what is he getting that I'm not getting. It's always just, the more you focus on abundance and what you want to attract, the more you attract it.
So I have a strong morning routine where, green smoothie and just wake up, stretch, do all the things, love gratitude. And ultimately, for me, like getting prepared for the actual sales day is really about getting into mantras. So, people love me, people love Cutco, people love buying Cutco from me, and they buy it fast and frequently. Things like that, just reminding myself how I want my day to go, right? Reminding myself of my minimum standards, like, hey, I'm just focused on closing orders today. I need to do my best. Just reminding myself to, remember the stall close. Like, it's normal for people to tell you no, and it's also normal for those same people to end up buying something anyways, if I do the job and do it right. Just reminding myself of the routines and processes I need to go through in order to get my absolute best results for the day. And I find the days where I don't do that, where I'm not disciplined about that, are the days where I tend to struggle the most, or, mentally I struggle the most. And I have to work a lot harder to keep myself on my game mentally when I don't do those things first. So.
Anyone else want to add to that? Okay.
Obviously, gratitude. You can tell it's a trend. But I also, when I'm driving to the booth, I do like to just play different audios that we've heard from net meetings or from our state fair preps or anything like that. If there's any focus that I'm trying to really get better at, like maybe cookware or flatware or upgrades or something, or new customer. Like me and Steven, especially, like when we're going to the fair, we'll just play different audios so that way it just keeps it top of mind.
Yeah, that is playing the audios before you're going into an event, major nugget. I would write it down, and I would encourage you to do it. All right, Roberto Weeks. Roberto.
Question for Josh, and if you guys have a good power intro that you guys have as well, that'd be great. Can you kind of framed it, but can you just say your service event, hey, here's what's going to happen over the next 45 minutes of time? So how you're setting that frame, like actually what you're saying and
Yep.
how you're prepping that, that'd be great.
Yep. And just a reminder that, like, me saying this, I'm also saying exactly what my marketing says. So it's what my emails say. It's what the confirmation email they get after they schedule an appointment says. It's what the reminder email says. So the idea is there's continuity and congruence in terms of if they read the marketing, then that's their expectation coming in the door, and then I'm repeating back to them, this is how this is going to go, so they feel a lot more comfortable going, oh yeah, okay, that's what I remember, that's what I read. If they didn't read the marketing, then now they know what's going to happen, right? So, but, hey Bert, how's it going? Awesome, blah, blah, blah. You brought in all your knives, yeah? Awesome, cool. Hey, let me give you a quick rundown of what we're going to do today, okay? So basically, we're going to check in all your knives, and we're going to look over everything and see what can we sharpen here. Anything we can sharpen here, we'll send home with you. If there's anything that's worn out past what we can do for it, we'll pack that up and ship that back for you, okay? Usually you have to do that yourself, but the great thing is, since you came here, you get concierge service. And I power pause and smile because they go, ooh, you see their eyes light up, right? And then I go, and so that means that, like, we're going to take care of it for you. So we're going to pack it up, we're going to ship it for you, and the only thing I have you do is cover the shipping charge each way. Sound good? Okay, cool. So while we're doing that, then you and we can step into my office over here and catch up. I'd love to hear what's going on with you and your family and your business and all that. We'll go over all the new Cutco. I'll show you, like, the quick update, what's new, and then if you want, we can update your wish list for you. You know me, I'm not a high pressure guy, so whether or not you want to get anything today is totally up to you. But if you do see something that you like, make sure you let me know. Or if there is anything that you want to be talking about today, make sure you let me know, because I want to make sure that we get that checked off your list. And it's a great time to be shopping because blank. Because we just wrapped up the state fair, and a lot of my customers couldn't make it to the state fair, so I decided I was going to go ahead and extend my state fair package pricing for my preferred customers to the sharpening event for anybody that was coming in for this. So, sound good? All right, cool. Let's go ahead and get to work, And then I look at all their knives, and I'm immediately looking for where's something that we can send back. So, chipped blades, broken tips, worn down double D edges, crappy looking handles, damaged stuff, worn out stuff, whatever, because then I'm handing them the service request form, having them fill that out. As soon as they've filled that out, now we're sitting down at my station. And I like to sit down. I don't do like a stand-up display anymore. When we first started doing service events, we did stand-up displays just like at the booth. But now I do a sit-down display because I find it's a little bit more casual, a little bit more relaxed. They feel a little bit more relaxed. It's easier for me to control their focus and stuff like that. And then that's when I hand them, oh, hey, by the way, will you sign my happy customer list really quick? Cool. Hey, by the way, was there anything that you for sure wanted to be sure that we talked about today while you're here? That's my first question when I get into the sales approach. Because if they have something on their mind, I want to meet them there and get that taken care of first. versus like me steering that conversation right out the gates and Calvin sitting there the whole time thinking to himself, well, he just shut up so I can buy that bird's beak paring knife I came in for, right? And so everything I just talked to Calvin about, or he's like, and you know, where it's like it's kind of going in one ear out the other because he's just waiting for me to take a breath so that he can talk to me about what he wants to talk about. All of that was just wasted time, right? Because he wasn't really paying attention to that stuff because he's just waiting for me so like to shut up so he can get a word in edgewise. So I like to just get that out up front. Most customers, though, in that moment say, no, I'm good. I think I have everything I need. And that's where your skill set comes into play, where you really have to be good at like, oh, okay, cool. Well, hey, since you have everything you need, let me go ahead and show you what I want to show you, right? Obviously, that's not what I say, but let me go ahead and show you what most of our customers are doing right now.
Love it. Gentleman in the back.
Yeah, this is for Josh or pretty much anyone up there. How do you guys handle walk-ins to your service event, whether they saw the sign if they're at the hotel or someone brought like a friend or a family member with their stuff to sharpen? How do you guys deal with that with your schedule since you schedule everything so tightly?
Yeah, so at that point, whoever's available just does like a demo, like a regular booth approach demo, and just closes them at that point.
We're cutting deals always.
Yeah, so for me, it's if they walk in the door, I'm usually with a customer because I fully book my calendar every time. And so if I'm with a customer in that moment, I'm just like, are you familiar with Cutco? And then, you know, and then I'll bring them over. I'll have my customer tell them about their experience, and then I'll get them cutting leather, see if they have any interest. And if so, I'll pause and pivot. Because customers, my past customers are usually pretty cool about that. They're like, oh yeah, take care of him. You want to sell. He should buy a whole set. You know, they'll actually help me with the demo and selling and stuff. But otherwise, someone else is in the room with me. And if that's the case, then, you know, if they're free, then they'll work with them.
Say it also depends. If I have a sharpening assistant with me, I'll pause. I'll be like, oh, hey, Shelly's going to come over and help you real quick. I'm just going to see what these people need. So like I'll just respectfully ask if they're okay with that. And then I'll go and see if there's actual legitimate interest or not. If there is, I'll pull them in and have them try to cut leather and see if I can get something. If there's not, I'm just like, oh, cool, here's a card, get out of here.
Yeah, and keep in mind that all walk-ins are not always like prospects. A lot of them actually are suspects. So you really have to get into the qualifying questions pretty quick.
How much per knife? $150 for the whole set? What? No, individually? Yeah, so that's facts. A lot of them are super sus. LA. By the way, mic runners, y'all are doing amazing. Round of applause. Wow.
Thank you guys for your talks. They were super awesome. My question is for Josh. Any other input would be greatly appreciated. Our events team, we're trying to grow our key events. So what we're doing is tying in a service event into those key events. My question is, we're booking a lot of new customers to those service events. Josh, I did ask you this last year that I was hovering around like 52 to 58 completion percentage on those new customers booked to the service events. Haven't really been able to figure something out to improve that. And last year you said you were working on that as well. Anything new or improved that we can do to up that?
Yeah, I mean, so I've talked about this a lot with Brian Carter, and one of the things that Brian does really well is just really framing the importance of the time, right? And creating urgency and a high level of respect for that appointment slot with the customer. If you're going to book them on the spot, right? Which you have to if you're there on Saturday and they're coming in on Monday, right? There's no time to really follow up and get them scheduled. So personally, I don't do a lot of like on the spot booking. I will do it, but I do prefer to delay it until like a week or two later so I have time for them to go home, look at their schedules, not be in like a high pressure, like kind of rushed environment with distractions, all of that. But in the ones where I have had success scheduling on the spot and them holding the appointment, it really comes down to like how you let them go. So, hey, so first of all, I give them the out when I'm scheduling the appointment. Hey, listen, do you ever set your schedule up in advance? Okay, cool. Do you know what your schedule looks like for Monday? You do. Do you have it with you? Cool, let's pull that out. I'll pull out my schedule. Let's look and see if we can find a time that we're both available that works for us for you to come in. right? That right there eliminates a lot because you get a lot of people go, I don't really have my schedule. Whereas if you just go straight into, hey, I'm here on Monday, I could schedule you for a sharpening. Do you want to get that done? They're like, yeah, sure. What do you got available? And you tell them what you have available, and then they book, and then they're like, they get home, they're like, oh, crap. You know, I got to take my mom to the doctor. I totally forgot. Oh, I guess screw the knife guy, you know. So there's that piece, right? There's the other piece of like, cool, okay, now that we have this book, just so you know, and I have them read their information and confirm for me that it was entered correctly. Whether they entered it or I entered it, I don't care. Like, just double check your email's correct, your cell phone number's correct. And then I say, okay, cool, now here's what's going to happen. And before I even confirm the appointment, I tell them, I'm going to press this confirmation button, and then you're going to get an email right away. And I need you to check that email when you get home tonight, because it tells you everything you need to do to prepare for your sharpening appointment, okay? And I tell a horror story, like, yeah, I had a lady who did this, and then she drove 45 minutes to the appointment, and she was 10 minutes away and realized she forgot to grab her knives. And so she showed up with no knives in hand, and she was pretty upset. And I was like, did you read the email? And she's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, so just like really emphasizing the importance. And I tell them, like, now, just so you know, we only come to this area this many times a year. And so, and we only have a certain number of spots to schedule people for. So you're sure this day and time works for you? Yes? Okay, great. Because it's really important that you show up for your appointment. Because if you don't show up for your appointment, that's an appointment where we could have serviced one of our other customers in the area who's waiting to get their knife sharpened. But I'm going above and beyond here to make sure you get one of these spots because you're here at the show, instead of giving it to one of our local customers who already has our product, okay? So just helping them understand that, like, hey, we're going above and beyond. This is extra special. We're taking care of you, right? And that this is rare. This is not something we do all the time. It only happens a couple times a year. Like, if you don't show up for this appointment, the next time that we'll be able to do this for you is either 6 months or a year from now. And I know this is a priority for you, so we want to go ahead and get you taken care of the same way we have hundreds of other customers in the area this year. Sound good? Okay, boom. So just really punching it in how important this is and how they really do need to show up for this, because it's not something they can just willy-nilly do like next week. I've had customers be like, oh, can I just come in next week? And I'm like, I'm not here next week. I literally won't be here for 6 months. And they're like, oh, crap, I wish I'd have known. I'm like, it kind of says it. If you read the emails and the website and anything else that I sent you, it's very clear about all that.
All right, Chelsea.
Honey.
Finally. Jason, loved your talk, love selling more knives. How do you pre-frame the size objection before it ever comes up? As a woman who hates things on my counter, I empathize with those customers, and they sell me on why they're not gonna flip a block upside down, because I think it looks horrendous. And I know there's people in this room that get that objection. So build my belief and build this room's belief by pre-framing the look of it before it comes up. And then if you didn't, what would you say to handle the objection after?
Yeah, so I don't pre-frame for every single client because I don't get it as much. I get it, I understand that comes up, it does come up. It's not like a obscure objection or anything, so there's validity there. When it starts to be like a potential problem is usually when they're like, well, where am I going to put this other block, or how's this going to fit, or like what's going to go on? Then I just kind of try to get a little bit excited about it flipping upside down and try to sell them on like the excitement and the idea that it doesn't take any extra space over what they already have. And all we're doing is just utilizing the space that they're using in a more efficient way and try to make that something that's like a positive. And then, of course, sometimes people don't want to have like a block on the block, but most of the time that's really not an objection that I say that it seems to prevent me from upgrading the client almost ever. So I would just more so, Chelsea say, get excited about the block and then show all the pictures, picture, just to create that like everybody's doing it type of mentality. And then if it does in the end become like a problem, then I just say like the important thing is getting the correct knives to cut the food. right? So we have other options. You can do trays, you can do custom trays in the drawer, you can do it on the wall. My mother-in-law puts some of them inside of her cupboard. Okay, other people will put one block over here where they're doing their meats, and another block over here where they're doing like their vegetables and sandwiches and whatever, and you can just disperse it however you want. We could do 3 different blocks, so it can be different areas. You can put some downstairs, some upstairs. You can put this whole thing in your second home, and we could do 2 fan sets for, one for each home, or however you want to do it. Just a lot of options is what I find seems to like alleviate the objection. If I just say one thing, then it's like, oh, I don't want to do that, or I don't know about that, or it's uncertain. But if I just put this stack of things out there, like reasons or options and things to do, it seems to just dissipate the objection, and then I reframe into or redirect into like the concept of having the correct tools and how that's more important than anything else we're talking about. And I'll even go to like, you have a hammer, wrench, screwdriver. Why don't we have a melon knife? Like we use this more than our wrenches and so on. And so having these other tools will just make your life so much more complete. So.
All right, guys.
Hey, quick add on to that too. It's just, again, it's how can I, like Jason said, like just give them a solution, give them a number of solutions. It's the same thing as like, well, we invested in Wustaf. Like why, like, well, how can I justify spending all this money on Cutco? It's like, oh, you give that to your kids. So it's like in this case, it's give them a bunch of different possible solutions so that they can go, all we need them to go is, okay, yeah, you're right. Like I can figure it out. Like I'm an adult. Another thing too is just framing the fact that it's like, hey, by the way, like there's a reason we make these blocks so big and beautiful. They're designed to be a centerpiece in your kitchen. Think about walking into the kitchen and seeing this big set of knives and be like, oh, that's a big set of Cutco. Now imagine doubling that. You have the complete set. Again, making it exclusive, making something for them to be excited about, to show off. Hey, by the way, Mrs. Jones, most people that tell me they don't want stuff on their counter actually just don't want clutter on their counter. So that's why like my Vitamix is underneath my sink. My air fryer is stored in my cupboard. Like my wife likes the counter clear of clutter, but like we still have this block on the counter. We still have the kitchen tools sitting right next to the block. It's a centerpiece in the kitchen. It's something that's talked about when people come into our house. So making it something that they want to have now, like, oh, like this is an enhancement to my kitchen. This isn't taking away from it. And then just the reality is some people just want another solution. So that's where you're like, yeah, we have trays for the drawer. We have custom sheaths. We have this. We have that. So just know that most of the time you just need to help them go like, oh yeah, like this makes sense. Like Jason said, like it's just the important thing is having the right tool for the right job. You can figure out the details. Here's a bunch of possible solutions for you.
Yeah, and I'll share one quick thing because I have 10 seconds to do this. So when I get to the picture of the back-to-back white blocks, that one that's kind of angled that looks really classy, I always say, in this one, like, look how cool this looks. And then so many of my customers go, oh yeah, that is cool, right? And then the other thing that I share is I go, it's kind of like the guy, like the apples to oranges comparison. It's kind of like the guy, Chelsea, who has the full Snap-on toolbox in his garage, right? He's got the big one, with all of the tools in it. That's what this is too. So if you're the type of person who wants to be one and done, have everything and know that you'll always have the right knife for the right job for the rest of your life, this is your full toolbox for the kitchen. So, and then people get excited. If I get excited about the pictures, they get excited about the pictures.
Awesome. Guys, give it up for your speakers.